When the mind separates from the heart and operates independently, you can no longer feel the sanctuary of your own soul. When we are so far away from our mind and from our heart, and the mind literally runs rampantly, and we try to over-process, over-analyze, we try to think our way out of our lives, out of solutions, out of part of the heart that hurts, but in actuality, we cannot think our way out as only the heart can truly guide. The heart, in actuality, is the center of the universe. It is odd to assume that there is a center of the universe in each and every one of you, but in actuality, the heart is what links you collectively all together. It is to say that the heart is the one place in where you can experience God. We cannot experience God simply within our mind. We can only experience God within our heart. There are miniature hearts, as strange as that sounds, miniature consciousness throughout the body, but in actuality, it is the heart that is actually the temple where we can literally sort out whom we are and define what we are. We cannot define whom we are or what we are within the mind because it isn't possible. There are times when we could make a lot of sense out of our life by simply making decisions and mapping out our life and simply saying that A and B and C and D and E and so on shall unfold. But in actuality, we were just being highly pragmatic and assuming that if we were to live a very disciplined life, life would make sense. In actuality, we lived according a set of rules that the God did not create. In actuality, these are self-driven, egotistic aspects of the self. The ego is very much like mirrors projecting back onto ourselves what we want to smell. The ego projects back onto us our fear. The ego projects anxiety. The ego very much is the creator of the 12 petals of the heart chakra. The ego has a contract, if you wish, with the 12 petals of illusions, the 12 petals that continuously we choose to engage in almost as we've become a prisoner of our own life. The ego does not only return the signal of what we're wanting, it projects the signal, it projects the garbage in which we eat, it projects the lack of exercise. The ego projects the lack of intimacy we have. The ego projects endlessly, and we assume that we are coming from free will, but in actuality, the ego, along with the mind and our intuition and the 12 petals of the heart chakra, in actuality are most often in control. As we assume that we're making decisions, in actuality we're not making decisions, we are not changing or evolving at all. We are simply projecting back to the ego what it has reflected onto us. When we enter within the heart, when we enter into the cave and go beyond the 12 illusions of duality. Duality are the petals of the lotus of the heart. When we can move beyond the 12 petals of illusion, and we begin to experience each level of the heart, we begin to realize the only place where the duality, or where the egoic self, or the destruction of our own nature, or the deposits of the Sushumna, or the lineage in which we come from, or the family that projects onto us, or the projections from others that we're continuously acting out. The only sanctuary of truth that resides in actuality lies within the heart chakra. Within the heart chakra, we are free from the mirrors of duality. We are free from the false directions that we are guided to. We are free from relationships that no longer serve us. It is within the heart do we begin to experience the truth of our destiny. It is in a mental act that leads us to where we are going or what we're needing to do. It is the human heart that simply pumps. It is a spiritual heart that guides us to what our sadhana, our divine plan. Is it true that I'm meant to be in this moment? It is only the heart that can experience and tell me that that is the truth. The mind and the heart got separated over 30,000 years ago, where the mind and the heart used to belong in one unity. Originally, you, very much like the heart, were originally designed to connect to everything. At one point, you would literally be a field that would move collectively together and would literally breathe and evolve collectively. Originally, mankind was designed very much like a microorganism that literally breathed and pulsated and moved collectively, harmoniously together. You meant to experience being a part of a field of souls that you would travel with collectively. And collectively, you would pulsate and experience, and you would breathe, and you would evolve, while you would not transfer or project. But every individual being would be completely fulfilled within his own microorganism, his own micro world of existence. And even though you all were connected to the collective, and you breathed and moved collectively as one, in actuality, each of you independently on a micro level would be self-sustainable and would experience your full realization of yourself. Over 30,000 years ago, the mind got into the existence of cohabitation. It is where you learned how to take on the pain of another. It is where you've learned how to take on the projections and the limitations. It is where the mind and the heart began to separate. It is where things began no longer to make sense, and it's where you began to be driven instead of being. The path of life is to dwell within the existence of the pulsating heart. Within it, everything derives. Everything that is real derives out of the pulsating heart. But we've gone from being to doing, and from doing to obligations to responsibilities. And for responsibilities, we felt guilt, and we felt shame, and we felt inadequacy.